An unexpected incident turned me into the life-saving medicine for my CEO wife. However, throughout our years of marriage, she never once said she loved me. I used to think she was simply cold by nature, until the day Lu Ruyan breathed her last, and I finally understood, she never loved me. On the day of the funeral, I received her will. The final line was written in red ink: "If I cannot marry the man I love in this life, then anyone else will do." Before I could even process the heartache, I was stabbed over 100 times by the relative of a victim from one of Lu Ruyan's projects. Amidst my unwilling resentment, my eyes slowly closed. Lu Ruyan, if I could do it all over again, I would definitely never marry you. Opening my eyes once more, I had returned to the exact day of the accident. While I was still disoriented, Lu Ruyan's cold voice rang in my ears. "Feng Yuan, this is what you wanted, isn't it?" She threw my clothes onto the bed with a sneer, declaring from her high horse, "I have announced our marriage to the media. The wedding will be held at the Lu family villa in 3 days. I hope you know when to stop." Looking at the pile of crumpled clothes on the bed, my mind gradually cleared. Only then did I realize I had been reborn, and specifically back to the time just before my wedding with Lu Ruyan. She and I had been betrothed since childhood. According to the original plan, we were to marry after graduating university. But then, her best friend suddenly passed away. Ignoring everyone's objections and the rumors outside, she took her friend's son from the orphanage to raise him herself. At the beginning, she told me, "A Chong is still small, he needs someone to care for him. I don't want to abandon him to start a family with someone else." Because of those words, I waited for 10 years. When Xia Chong grew up, she hesitated again. "I raised a Chong since he was little. You know how much he relies on me. I want to wait a few more years so he can slowly accept the idea of me remarrying." In my past life, it wasn't until the accident happened that she reluctantly married me. But thinking back to the previous life where she treated me with indifference until I died a tragic death under 100 knives, I could only manage a bitter smile, my lips curling slightly. "Lu Ruyan, let's call off the engagement." Before she could react, she froze in place. I looked up into her eyes and said decisively, "Let's act as if nothing happened tonight. It was just an accident, after all." Before I could finish, Lu Ruyan let out a cold laugh, her eyes full of sarcasm. "Changed your strategy, Feng Yuan? Playing hard to get? Know when to quit. If we really call off the engagement, you'll just find every possible way to beg me to come back later." I was speechless. In my past life, I truly lacked any backbone. Knowing full well she didn't love me, I still constantly debased myself to hold on to her. But now, even if it meant death, I didn't want to be with her anymore. Losing her patience, Lu Ruyan left me with one sentence: "I'll be very busy the next few days. Don't come to bother me before the wedding." She then turned and left the hotel. I didn't bother to explain further and immediately called the hospital director. "Director, I want to register for the Doctors Without Borders support program the hospital mentioned before." The director sounded worried and skeptical. "Feng Yuan, this program lasts for 5 years, and the conditions there are extremely poor. Going there means cutting off all contact with home. Didn't you just announce your marriage to the Lu family's daughter? Does she know about this?" I took a deep breath and replied calmly, "I have called off the engagement, so she doesn't need to know." After hanging up, I immediately notified the media. Lu Ruyan and I had called off our engagement. Having finished everything, I went to my parents' final resting place. They died in a car accident years ago, and in my grief, I buried them where they first met. Now that I was going away, I should come to say goodbye. But I didn't expect to run into Lu Ruyan as soon as I got out of the car. Obviously, she had found out about my announcement to the media. With a gloomy face, she frowned and asked, "Feng Yuan, what kind of scene are you trying to make this time? Is it just because I didn't plan to invite guests to the wedding banquet that you're unhappy? Why get so angry that you'd announce a cancellation to the media?" She continued, "I had people making invitations all night. Is that enough for you?" I was momentarily confused, then suddenly understood. It seemed Lu Ruyan still didn't believe I actually wanted to break off the engagement. It was also unclear why she suddenly appeared at my parents' burial site. Of course, Lu Ruyan didn't come to visit their graves. She came for Xia Chong. A Chong heard we were getting married and said he wanted to give me a surprise, so he chose this place to build a memorial, telling me to come and see it. I found it increasingly difficult to understand. This place was far from the city center and surrounded by cemeteries. Why would he think of building a memorial here? That was until I reached my parents' graves and saw an excavator in operation with my own eyes. The steel bucket bit down, crushing my parents' tombstones into fragments. The ground before me had been dug up into a devastating mess. I stood there frozen. A surge of fury erupted like a tidal wave from my chest to my head, making my entire body tremble. Xia Chong ran excitedly toward Lu Ruyan as if showing off his achievement. He grabbed her sleeve, his radiant face unable to hide his joy. "Auntie, you're here. Look, this is the place I chose to build a memorial for you." Lu Ruyan was also stunned. She looked at me, then turned back to Xia Chong. "A Chong." A cry of pain burst from my throat as I rushed forward and grabbed Xia Chong by the collar. "Who gave you permission to destroy my parents' tombstones?" Xia Chong looked terrified, his eyes turning red and filling with tears. He bit his lip and shook his head repeatedly. "I'm sorry. I didn't know. The construction workers must have hit the wrong spot. When I came earlier, I didn't see any tombstones here. I didn't do it on purpose." Then, he looked piteously at Lu Ruyan. "Auntie, did I do something wrong?" "I didn't mean to. I just knew you were getting married and about to become someone else's wife, so I wanted to build a memorial to keep the things you gave me before. Only then could I come here often and hold on to the memories that belong to us, to remind myself that even though you're married, you still love me." Hearing that, Lu Ruyan's heart immediately softened. She pushed me away forcefully, her voice full of anger. "What are you doing? A Chong didn't mean it. I already said it was a mistake by the workers. Why are you hitting a Chong?" I was so angry that tears almost spilled over. My parents' tombstones were clearly right there. How could Xia Chong say he didn't see them? I gritted my teeth and looked straight at her. "Lu Ruyan, I tolerated however you defended him before. But now, right in front of my parents' graves, before their portraits, you can still say these things." Lu Ruyan felt a momentary pang of guilt and immediately avoided my gaze, cold snorting. "Isn't it just a tombstone? It's already been dug up. What more do you want? I'll compensate you. You can just go build another one." With that, she began searching for her bank card. "Once we are married, won't you be a Chong's stepfather? And yet you're being so petty with a child." Looking at the card she offered, my anger intensified until I was shaking. I coldly swatted her hand away, and the bank card fell to the ground. I gritted my teeth and spoke icily. "Lu Ruyan, I told you I will not marry you. As for this money..." I glanced at Xia Chong mockingly. "Keep it to build a grave for your precious nephew later." Lu Ruyan and I parted in anger at the cemetery. Seeing me turn to leave, she intended to follow, but Xia Chong caught her hand and pulled her back. With red eyes, he said that I had scolded him too harshly, leaving him hurt and frightened. Lu Ruyan immediately took him to the hospital. As for me, I received a call from Uncle He. Uncle He had suffered a heart attack and was hospitalized. He wanted to see me one last time. Uncle He was a long-time friend of my parents and one of the wealthiest moguls in the region. He understood the situation between Lu Ruyan and me very well, even suggesting several times that he wanted me as his son-in-law. "Feng Yuan, your parents are gone, and I'm afraid I won't hold on much longer either. My greatest concern in this life is the matter between you and Xinya." His aged face was full of inquiry and expectation. "You know, Xinya has always liked you. Years ago, she only chose the medical field because she wanted to follow you. It was because I opposed it that Xinya defied everything to study medicine. If I can leave Xinya in your care now, I can finally close my eyes in peace." Hearing those words, the image of the short-haired girl from years ago flashed through my mind, the one who had clearly fallen but still gritted her teeth to stand back up. In the end, I couldn't bear to reject Uncle He's kindness and could only say I would consider it. Leaving the hospital room, I accidentally passed the room Lu Ruyan had arranged for Xia Chong. Naturally, nothing was seriously wrong with Xia Chong, but Lu Ruyan still wasn't at ease and insisted on a full-body checkup for him. Before the hospital bed, She was even personally feeding Xia Chong porridge. That display of extreme tenderness immediately felt like a blade stabbing directly into my eyes. In truth, in my past life, I should have realized long ago that the feelings Lu Ruyan had for this nephew she raised were more than just familial. It was she who didn't dare face it, fearing the gossip from outside and bound by her engagement to me, so she could only suppress her feelings and use me as an excuse to hide them. She used me as a shield and, in doing so, destroyed my entire life. Xia Chong's eyes reddened again. Lu Ruyan hurriedly coaxed him, Chong, you're fine now. What happened today was Feng Yuan's fault. After the wedding is over, I will force him to come and apologize to you. As long as it makes you feel better, you can deal with him however you want. Xia Chong bit his lip, his voice soft. I'm just afraid that after you get married, you won't take care of me like this anymore. Lu Ruyan frowned, her voice tender in a way I had never heard before. How could that be? Chong, you are the most important person in my life. I will never abandon you, nor do I need anyone else. Xia Chong looked up and happened to see me standing outside the door. A flicker of calculation flashed in those teary eyes before he tested her. Then what if you have children later? Lu Ruyan replied coldly, I will not bear children for Feng Yuan. Xia Chong sighed, I'm just afraid that by then, things won't be up to you anymore, just like your engagement. Or maybe you should take him for a checkup and tell him you want to live child-free. That way, you'll only have love for me in the future. Hearing this, my heart turned to ice. No wonder in my past life, on the very first day of our marriage, Lu Ruyan coldly declared she would never have children. I used to think it was for her career, to maintain her figure, or because she feared being tied down, so I supported her decision. To the point where, for her sake, I brushed aside my parents' dying wish for me to marry and have kids, even going so far as to get a vasectomy. I never imagined it was all because of a single sentence from Xia Chong. Under his provocative and smug gaze, I felt my blood boil. I turned to leave and simultaneously called Uncle He. Uncle, I've thought it through. I agree to marry Xinya. As I left the hospital, I ran into Lu Ruyan in the parking lot. The moment she saw me, she frowned in annoyance. What are you doing here? Don't you know Chong is still afraid of you and doesn't want to see you? His emotions have just stabilized. Can you please stop appearing in front of him? I had heard such words so often I was weary of them, nearly numb. Thinking of the call I just made to Uncle He, I replied hoarsely and indifferently, I won't anymore. I walked around them toward my car, but at that moment, Xia Chong called out from behind me, Auntie, I have a few words for him. Could you give us a moment alone? In front of Lu Ruyan, Xia Chong was always the pitiful image of a terrified little rabbit. But as soon as he approached me, his mask slipped. Feng Yuan, you really are good at enduring. Haven't you realized yet that Auntie Ruyan likes me? He leaned close to my ear, his voice full of smugness and provocation. You couldn't even protect your parents' graves. You're truly useless, truly pathetic. If their spirits are watching from heaven, they've probably died of anger because of you. I was instantly enraged, my teeth clenched, my eyes filled with murderous intent. What did you say? Before I could even lift a hand, Xia Chong collapsed to the ground like a paper doll in the wind, looking utterly miserable. Immediately, Lu Ruyan's figure appeared. She rushed to Xia Chong's side and looked up at me with fury. Feng Yuan, have you finally had enough? Lu Ruyan shouted, Chong didn't mean it, and besides, he already apologized. What more do you want? I struggled to suppress the explosion of rage in my heart. Why don't you ask your good nephew what he just said? But at this point, Xia Chong's eyes were red again, looking aggrieved as he timidly tugged at Lu Ruyan's sleeve, shaking his head slightly. Forget it, Auntie, it's all my fault. If he can't accept me, then I should just leave. Those few words sent Lu Ruyan's anger and heartache to the limit. She looked up and coldly declared to me, Feng Yuan, dead that thought. Even if the engagement is cancelled, I will never abandon Chong. An unnamed sorrow surged from the depths of my soul. I clenched my fists, my voice raspy, then let's cancel it. But Lu Ruyan still didn't believe me. She tucked her hair back, helped Xia Chong up, and said mockingly, anyone can talk tough. It's just a pity you don't have the courage to follow through. Before she dragged him away, Xia Chong seemed to remember something. He ran back to me and leaned in, using a voice meant only for the two of us. Still don't believe she likes me? Why don't you try guessing? If both of us were in danger, who would she save first? I froze, not yet understanding the hidden meaning in his words. However, on the way back from the hospital, several cars suddenly lunged out to block me from the front and back, closing in from all sides as if trying to drive me to my death. I had to jerk the steering wheel, and with a loud crash, my car slammed into the median. When I woke up again, I found myself tied tightly, hanging suspended in an abandoned shack at the pier. Beneath my feet was the vast ocean. I was held up only by a fragile rope. Not far ahead, in a closed wooden room, came Xia Chong's stifled moans of discomfort. Lu Ruyan was facing a group of masked men. The leader smiled cunningly. Ms. Lu, you have two choices: use your words to save your fiancé, or use your body to save your beloved nephew. Lu Ruyan's gaze flickered toward me. A hint of complexity crossed her eyes before she let out a cold, cynical laugh. Feng Yuan, have you performed enough? I was stunned. Her gaze turned to one of indignation and contempt. Wasn't the performance at the hotel enough? Now you're staging this cheap drama. I smiled bitterly. You think I did this? Lu Ruyan didn't hesitate. If not you, then who? Besides you, who would do something so stupid and redundant? She turned to the kidnappers provocatively. You might as well just cut the rope. I want to see how long you people plan to keep pretending. With that, she turned and walked straight toward the room where Xia Chong was locked. Moments later, Xia Chong's raspy pleas echoed from the room. Auntie, I'm so hot it hurts. I can't take it anymore. Auntie, let me, you know I've always liked you. That desperate, burning murmur was like a knife cutting into my heart. In an instant, it completely demolished Lu Ruyan's final defenses. Her breathing gradually became hurried, carrying notes of exhaustion and pleasure. Every sound felt like a hammer shattering my heart, drowning me in an abyss of hopeless loneliness. When they stepped out, Lu Ruyan's clothes were disheveled, and a clear, suggestive bite mark was visible on her neck. Seeing that the kidnappers did nothing more, she smiled coldly. Typical Feng Yuan. I don't want to see these tricks ever again. If it happens again, I really will cancel the engagement. I scoffed, my eyes fixed on her tainted form. After all this, you still think we can get married? Lu Ruyan awkwardly adjusted her messy hair, her gaze evasive. I did it this time to save a Chong. I had no other choice. Her gaze swept over me resentfully. I've already agreed to marry you, isn't that enough? The void in my heart was like a dark patch of mold, spreading relentlessly and consuming every remaining emotion. I looked up, my eyes bloodshot, my voice hoarse. Lu Ruyan, stop lying to yourself and stop lying to me. Did you truly suspect me, or did you feel forced to suspect me for Xia Chong's sake? That question made her gaze waver. But before she could answer, the kidnappers began cutting the rope I was hanging from. Lu Ruyan immediately panicked. Feng Yuan, stop acting. The wedding is tomorrow. I don't have time to play with you. But they didn't stop. Amidst Lu Ruyan's mournful scream of no, the rope snapped. My entire body fell straight into the dark sea. But I didn't die. He Xinya saved me. In the hospital, she rushed to hug me, tears streaming down her face. Brother Feng Yuan, I almost lost you. Crying, He Xinya said she had found evidence that Xia Chong bribed the kidnappers to harm me. She gritted her teeth in fury. I must make this public and help you get revenge. But I only shook my head weakly. Now is not the time. He Xinya had also registered for the Doctors Without Borders support project. I parted my dry, cracked lips and whispered, when the time is right, announce it at the same time as our engagement news. That afternoon, Lu Ruyan walked into my hospital room with her head held high. She dropped a tailor-made groom's suit for the next day's wedding on the bed and declared expressionlessly, I've investigated. The kidnapping really had nothing to do with you. Since you aren't seriously injured, the wedding will proceed as planned tomorrow. A Chong was quite frightened this time, so I have to go back and care for him. You know he doesn't want to see you, so before the ceremony starts, it's best if you don't show your face to me. The next morning, as the wedding between Lu Ruyan and me was supposed to begin, He Xinya and I were already on a flight to the Middle East. At the Lu residence, everyone waited, even the media whispered, but the groom was nowhere to be found. Everyone guessed I had run away. After all, I had publicly announced the cancellation of the engagement, while the Lu family had pushed the wedding forward alone. Lu Ruyan's eyes were red with anger. She stubbornly denied it. Impossible. How could Feng Yuan dare do this to me? She angrily pulled out her phone and messaged me, "Feng Yuan, have you had enough? Are you still angry that I chose to save a Chong yesterday? Do you know right from wrong? I've already apologized. What else do you want?" In the final seconds before boarding the plane, I saw her last message, which read like a threat, "I'll give you 5 minutes. If you don't show up at the wedding, you won't have another chance for the rest of your life." I let out a cold laugh, powered off my phone, and left without looking back. At the same time, at the Lu family wedding banquet, someone suddenly cried out, "The groom is here." Lu Ruyan's face immediately brightened with joy, and she let out a snort of disdain. "I knew it, you'd come back." But when she turned around, it wasn't me she saw, it was Xia Chong. He was wearing the groom's suit, his face flushed as he stood under everyone's gaze. Lu Ruyan froze, asking in panic, "A Chong? Why is it you?" Whispers began to spread through the crowd. The media didn't miss the chance for such a rare scoop. The wedding between Lu Ruyan and me had always been a focal point. Everyone knew the marriage had been delayed multiple times because of Xia Chong. Seeing how Lu Ruyan had treated Xia Chong over the years, many had guessed there was something shady between them. It was only because of our engagement, along with the age gap and their status, that outsiders didn't dare speak of it openly. Yet here was Xia Chong, dressed as a groom at the wedding, while I, the rightful fiancé, was absent. Xia Chong bit his lip, summoned his courage, and stepped forward to take Lu Ruyan's hand. His eyes reddened again. "Auntie." "No, Ruyan. From today on, I don't want to call you Auntie anymore. You've always known, haven't you? You know I have feelings for you." He thought he could make a touching confession that would move Lu Ruyan and the crowd to tears. But he didn't expect that, facing the burning gaze of the crowd, Lu Ruyan's expression would turn so ghastly. She suddenly jerked her hand back and took a step away. "A Chong? What are you talking about? Today is my wedding to Feng Yuan. Stop messing around. How could something like that be possible between us?" Her heart hammered uncontrollably. The most shameful secret of her life had been exposed under 1,000 scrutinizing glares, and she couldn't bear it. She could already imagine how the world would view her once the media released today's footage. A woman driven by twisted desire, laying hands on the young nephew she raised, using the guise of guardianship to seduce her best friend's son. No matter what label they gave her, Lu Ruyan knew she would never survive the fallout. Yet Xia Chong refused to let go. He bit his lip, his voice definitive. "But I've never seen you as an aunt. If you truly had no feelings for me, why were you always so good to me?" Lu Ruyan avoided his gaze, stammering, "Your mother and I were best friends for years. Before she passed, she entrusted you to my care." But Xia Chong cut her off instantly. "Then what about the fact that we crossed the line right in front of Feng Yuan? You gave yourself to me. Was that your mother's final wish too?" He gripped her arm, his voice urgent as he forced her to face the truth. "How much longer are you going to run? The person you truly love is me. Now that Feng Yuan is gone, I'm the only one left for you. Why care what outsiders say? Just follow your heart. Can't we just be together openly?" Lu Ruyan stood frozen, staring at him in a daze. Xia Chong's final words were the killing blow, sending a roar of shock through the hall. Guests whispered feverishly, their eyes filled with scandalized awe. Lu Ruyan's parents, reeling from the massive shock, stumbled and nearly collapsed on the spot. Mother Lu rushed forward, clutching her daughter's wedding train, sobbing and screaming, "Ruyan! What on earth is happening? Is what Xia Chong saying true?" Faced with the horrified yet hopeful eyes of her parents, Lu Ruyan's entire body went cold, as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. In her mind, the first image that appeared was Feng Yuan, the man who had been her fiancé since childhood. If it were Feng Yuan standing on that altar today, she would still be the noble heiress of the Lu family, the bride blessed by everyone, the future mistress of the Feng household. But now, a bottomless abyss yawned before her. If she nodded and admitted it, her parents would fall ill from rage, the Lu family would become a national laughingstock, and she would be branded with a filth that would leave her an outcast, her reputation utterly destroyed. Previously, she had always viewed her engagement to Feng Yuan as a burden. She believed that condescending to marry him was a grand favor. But now she finally woke up. Without Feng Yuan, her life, her fame, her wealth, and her family were all crumbling. Lu Ruyan was over 30. She was no longer a youth in her 20s like Xia Chong. She no longer believed that love is enough to fight the world. She had calculations, interests, and choices. Because of this, she felt a profound, agonizing regret. Regret that when these deviant feelings first sprouted, she hadn't cut them down decisively. Her throat trembling, Lu Ruyan was about to speak when a stinging slap landed squarely across her face. "How dare you do something so disgraceful?" Father Lu's forehead bulged with veins. He pointed a finger at her, roaring, "Do you even remember that Feng Yuan is your fiancé? You did this. How are we supposed to face his family?" The couple's loathing gaze turned simultaneously toward Xia Chong. "When you brought this boy into the Lu house, what did you tell us? You said he was the only son of your best friend, that if you didn't care for him, he'd rot in an orphanage. You swore to raise him like your own son. And now? You dared to do something so filthy with him? Have you no shame?" Slap. Another strike landed on Lu Ruyan's face. The atmosphere in the wedding hall froze. No one dared speak, save for the reporters who never stopped clicking their shutters, capturing every moment of the chaos. As Father Lu raised his hand again, Xia Chong suddenly stepped in front of her, blocking him. He grabbed the old man's arm with a dark expression and shoved him hard. Father Lu fell backward onto the ground. Xia Chong's face was grim. "She and I are truly in love. Why are you hitting her? If you dare touch her again, just see what happens." Seeing Xia Chong lay hands on her elderly, frail father, Lu Ruyan was utterly stunned. She lunged to help her father up, turning to shout in a fury, "Xia Chong, what are you doing? This is my father. He's the one who raised you." But Xia Chong only sneered, "My surname is Xia, hers is Lu. What relation does he have to me? Did you think I didn't know these two have looked down on me since the day I stepped into this house? They deserve it." Lu Ruyan felt her world collapse once more. Her face was pale, her mind echoing with a hollow sound. For so long, Xia Chong had pretended to be a well-behaved, fragile angel, a vulnerable little thing. That was why she had softened her heart time and time again to protect him, always believing he was the most piteous one. But at this moment, a terrifying thought arose. What kind of monster had she raised out of the boy who always pretended to be a harmless rabbit? It was undeniable that Xia Chong had been spoiled to the point of corruption by Lu Ruyan. Though she had never married or had children, she treated him like a precious treasure. Effectively, Xia Chong was the young master of the Lu family. Pitiful and weak in front of her, he was the opposite at school. Surrounded by a group of sycophants, he only had to wave a hand to make someone disappear. He had once plagiarized another student's graduation thesis. When he was caught and exposed, he hired people to break that student's legs, then returned to the Lu house crying that he had been framed. Lu Ruyan actually believed him. She personally pressured the university to expel the victim and drove the family to ruin. Out of pity, I had quietly helped that student find a small rental room nearby. When Xia Chong found out, his face paled, but he forced a mocking smile. "As expected, you've never liked me." Lu Ruyan had a massive argument with me over that, then chased the matter all the way to the Lin group, eventually driving the student's parents to jump off a building. The student finally used death to prove his innocence, yet after everything, Lu Ruyan still stood calmly to protect Xia Chong, loudly denying it. Their family was just too weak, always threatening suicide over the slightest thing. They just wanted money. What does that have to do with a Chong? Even the accident that took my life in the previous world was caused by Xia Chong cutting corners on construction materials, leading to the deaths of many workers. But in Lu Ruyan's ears, Xia Chong's words were, they sought their own deaths. To protect him, she firmly refused to compensate the victims' families. The relatives knelt at the gates of the Lu group day and night crying for justice, only to be beaten bloody and driven away by Xia Chong's men. That was why they had lost control and rioted at her funeral later. And now, The retribution she was receiving was entirely of her own making. Lu Ruyan stared at Xia Chong with bloodshot eyes for a long time, finally gritting her teeth as if making a final choice. Today is the wedding day between me and Feng Yuan. She looked up at Xia Chong's face, which was distorted with excitement, and emphasized every word. I am your aunt. I was in the beginning, I am now, and I will be in the future. She looked up at Xia Chong's face, which was distorted with excitement, and emphasized every word. I am your aunt. I was in the beginning, I am now, and I will be in the future. She stood tall, declaring from her height that what happened could only stay in the past. She immediately ordered her staff to the hospital to find me, but the report came back quickly. Ms. Lu, 3 days ago, Mr. Feng Yuan officially registered for the Doctors Without Borders program in the Middle East. He is no longer at the hospital. Lu Ruyan's pupils contracted, and she blurted out almost subconsciously, impossible. How could Feng Yuan actually leave? But then she remembered. In the hotel, I had told her to her face that I wanted to cancel the engagement and had publicly announced it to the media. At the time, she thought I was just throwing a tantrum, using the cancellation to get her attention. She never imagined I was being sincere. Lu Ruyan panicked completely, screaming in desperation, "Search now. Find out what flight he took and stop him immediately." The assistant on the other end of the line sounded awkward. "Miss, we've already checked." When the wedding began, Mr. Feng Yuan had already boarded his flight. Furthermore, the He group just officially announced his engagement to Ms. He Xinya. They left together. Lu Ruyan's body swayed, unable to believe what she was hearing. Looking around the empty hall, at the mocking, curious eyes of the guests, a massive weight of shame and despair crushed her. Just then, the assistant spoke again. "The police also have some questions for young Master Xia Chong." The police had come for Xia Chong because of the kidnapping. The drama of the groom swap he had directed finally fell apart. When the police appeared, Xia Chong was handcuffed and led away from the altar. The Lu family's reputation was utterly annihilated. Lu Ruyan's parents couldn't take the shock and fainted on the spot. By this point, Lu Ruyan no longer cared about appearances. She rushed her father to the hospital. He already had a heart condition, and with this shock, he was in critical condition, moved to the ICU and covered in tubes, barely clinging to life. After the wedding collapsed and the guests dispersed, the media immediately put Lu Ruyan's wedding disaster on the front pages. Images of Xia Chong in a groom's suit publicly confessing to her spread like wildfire online. Oh my God, so nauseating. I've suspected something was off between them for a long time. She's hilarious. A middle-aged woman lusting after the boy she raised. No wonder Mr. Feng cancelled the engagement. She was probably clinging to him for cover. Mr. Feng and Ms. He are a perfect match, 100 times better than that aging woman. While social media exploded with thousands of hateful comments, the hospital suddenly issued a critical notice. Lu Ruyan's father, his blood pressure soaring from rage and his heart failing, had passed away that very night. When she heard the news, Lu Ruyan turned to stone. She stood dazed in the cold hospital hallway, unable to accept this sudden blow. She stumbled, her body trembling as she leaned against the stark white wall, nearly collapsing to the floor. Looking up, she saw her mother walking out in a daze, her eyes empty like a soul without a body. Lu Ruyan lunged forward, sobbing and calling mother, but in the next second, a thunderous slap landed on her face. Mother Lu's gaze was full of despair and resentment. "Don't call me mother. You clearly stopped caring about us long ago. You didn't care about the Lu family's dignity at all." She gritted her teeth. "Starting today, the Lu family no longer considers you our daughter. Go live with your little lover." Lu Ruyan burst into a torrent of tears, kneeling and begging for forgiveness, but her mother coldly swatted her hand away and walked off without looking back. Before leaving, she issued an order. Lu Ruyan was forbidden from attending the funeral, and an announcement was made to the public. The Lu family had officially severed all ties with her. Having lost all honor and reputation, abandoned by everyone, Lu Ruyan walked through the heavy rain like a living corpse back to the house that was supposed to be our marital home. She collapsed onto the cold floor, staring blankly around the room filled with memories. In a hazy moment, she seemed to see my shadow appear. If I were still there, seeing her so piteous in the rain, I would surely have rushed out with a dry towel and a bowl of hot ginger soup to warm her. If I were still there, knowing she was being insulted so cruelly, I would have held her tight and whispered, "It's okay," while quietly handling every scandalous rumor. If I were still there, knowing her father had died, knowing she had lost her closest kin, I would have handled the funeral arrangements perfectly and told her gently, "Don't be afraid, at least you still have me." But no. A hot tear rolled down her cheek, and she sobbed so hard her face hit the floor. If he were still here, none of this would have happened. Her life would still be smooth sailing. She would still be the proud, shining queen. Just then, footsteps sounded outside. Lu Ruyan turned her head instantly, clinging to a final shred of hope. She thought I had returned, but the person who entered was Xia Chong. Looking disheveled, he knelt timidly before her. "Auntie, save me. I don't want to go to prison." Only in that moment did Lu Ruyan truly wake up. She sat on the floor, her voice raspy and trembling. "So it was you. It was you who hired people to kidnap me and Feng Yuan." Xia Chong whimpered as he tried to argue, "I didn't mean to. I didn't want to hurt him." He pouted, still trying to play the piteous little rabbit. "I just wanted him to understand his place in your heart, so he would know to back off and leave you to me." The memory of the day my rope was cut and I was dropped into the sea flashed in her mind like a knife to the heart. In that moment, when she had tried to rush to save me, Xia Chong had held her back, just like so many times before. He had pretended to be dizzy, moaning, "Auntie, I feel so sick. The drug hasn't worn off. Did they really drug me?" He had fainted right in front of her. Lu Ruyan had lost control, carrying him to the hospital, completely forgetting that I was tied up and thrown into the sea, where I would surely die without help. If not for He Xinya that day, I would truly be gone forever. And yet, in Xia Chong's mouth, it was all not on purpose and didn't want to hurt. Lu Ruyan's eyes were bloodshot. The gaze that was once so fond was now cold and filled with disgust as she faced Xia Chong's secondary crime. Her fury reached its peak, and was the destruction of Feng Yuan's parents' graves also an accident? Xia Chong mumbled incoherently, I wasn't paying attention." Slap. A decisive strike landed on his face. Simultaneously, the excavator driver's testimony was made public. The witnesses at the scene, the construction crew, clearly confirmed that Xia Chong was the one who directed them to demolish the graves. At the time, someone had double-checked out of doubt, but Xia Chong had boldly pointed directly at my parents' tombstones and ordered, "Dig here." Having been slapped, Xia Chong clutched his face with a look of pure grievance, his eyes brimming with tears. "You hit me? You used to pamper me so much. You never laid a finger on me from the time I was small, and now you're striking me because of Feng Yuan." Lu Ruyan let out a cry of gut-wrenching pain. "It's exactly because I pampered you too much that we've ended up like this. Chong, I always thought you were a good, sensible boy who was easily bullied. That's why I always favored you, protected you. But now I realize with horror what kind of monster I've spent years raising." She grabbed Xia Chong by the collar, her hands shaking and her voice nearly gone. "How can you do so many cruel things and still calmly say you aren't in the wrong?" But no matter how well Xia Chong acted, the truth remained the truth. His crimes were exposed one by one, dragging a series of other dark secrets into the light. He had plagiarized a classmate's thesis, then tricked Lu Ruyan into applying pressure that destroyed the victim's reputation and family. To show off to his circle of friends, he had exploited Lu Ruyan's favor to force the company's procurement department to buy low-quality construction materials, resulting in a site accident that caused dozens of casualties. Clearly, this evidence had been laid out before her eyes in the past, but Lu Ruyan had stubbornly refused to believe it, even claiming I was fabricating stories to disparage Xia Chong. Now, it was too late. She squeezed Xia Chong's throat, screaming like she'd lost her mind. "After all this, you still have the nerve to refuse prison? You deserve to die." That day, Lu Ruyan beat Xia Chong until he was covered in bruises and threw him out of the house. She thought that kicking him out would be the end of it, regardless of whether he lived or died. But she forgot that Xia Chong was not the type to admit defeat. The love of youth comes fast, but hatred comes just as quickly. He started a live stream, utilizing his best talent, playing the innocent rabbit. "I was framed. I'm just a child. If I had an emotional dependency on an adult, that's understandable. Auntie Lou raised me. If I had deviant thoughts, it was because her upbringing was flawed. Besides, could a woman over 30 really develop feelings for a child she raised with her own hands? To increase his persuasiveness, Xia Chong took the livestream to his biological mother's grave, pretending to bow in deep emotion. He then went to the orphanage where he lived as a child, choking out, "If I had known this day would come, I would have been better off never being taken to the Lu house, living in the orphanage forever." But what truly caused the situation to explode was a video recording of everything that happened on the day of the kidnapping. The video clearly showed the room where Xia Chong was drugged, and it clearly showed Lu Ruyan coldly ordering the kidnappers to cut the rope and push me into the sea. Afterward, she turned and walked straight into the locked room where Xia Chong was waiting, where their illicit encounter took place. When that video went viral, Lu Ruyan's reputation hit rock bottom. She was branded a heartless villainess who abandoned her dying fiancé just to rush into the arms of her foster nephew, a shameless woman who seduced a young man nearly 12 years her junior. The very second she saw that video, Lu Ruyan coughed up blood and fainted on the spot. When she woke up in the hospital, the first thing she did was send me a message, her tears falling, "Fong Yuan, I'm sorry. I was so wrong before. I thought the feelings between us were just the constraints of an engagement, and that without you, I'd be free. But now that everything is leaving me, I understand how important you are. You loved me so much, you surely won't leave me because you like Hishinya, right?" Perhaps fearing that text wasn't enough to show her regret, she continued with voice messages, her voice thick with sobs and urgency. "I understand now. You only agreed to the engagement with her because you wanted me to realize your place in my heart, right? I understand, and I regret it so much. Please forgive me. Come back and cancel the engagement with her. I'll marry you immediately. I'll only love you for the rest of my life." By the time I read those messages, the flight carrying Hishinya and me had landed in the Middle East. As the director had said, the conditions here were poor, communication was intermittent, and signals were weak. I was completely cut off from the outside world for many days. During those days, I poured my soul into medical work. Facing hundreds of patients daily and hearing foreign languages, I gradually realized how small and meaningless everything related to Lu Ruyan had become. Hishinya knew Lu Ruyan had tried to contact me. She bit her lip, asking tentatively, "Brother Fong Yuan, you really don't regret it?" I smiled slightly. Due to the hard work of the past few days, Hishinya had visibly thinned, her skin tanned by the sun and wind, her naturally serious face now carrying an added layer of grit and resolve. I dazed for a moment. I used to dream that my partner had to be someone who could fight by my side. Back then, I thought it was Lu Ruyan, but now I realized how wrong I had been. I didn't reply to Lu Ruyan's messages. Right in front of Hishinya, I removed the SIM card from my phone and threw it straight into the vast, golden sands. She didn't regret out of love for me, it was simply because what she lost today had exceeded her limit of endurance. To be blunt, she was afraid, not truly repentant. As for me, I looked at Hishinya, gave a light smile, and bravely took her hand. At that moment, I silently resolved, having made my choice, she is the one I choose for this life. Xia Chong was sentenced to 5 years in prison for the kidnapping. After Father Lu passed away, her mother severed all ties and moved back to the countryside, cutting off all contact. Lu Ruyan's days were no better. The string of scandals caused the Lu Group's stock to plummet. Combined with the accident Xia Chong caused by using poor materials, which resulted in worker casualties, the associated leadership went to prison, and the company faced a drain on finances from mass compensation. No one dared to partner with Lu Ruyan anymore. Close friends and business partners either vanished or publicly cut ties. In her past life, she regretted not once pursuing true love. In this life, when she finally let herself go, the price she paid was everything. She struggled desperately for 5 years before finally declaring bankruptcy. From a prestigious heiress and powerful CEO for whom people bowed, she was now a penniless person at the bottom of the abyss. Because her reputation was in tatters, she couldn't even find a decent job. Every day, she huddled in the house that was meant to be our marital home, drowning her sorrows in alcohol. 5 years later, Hishinya and I returned home. Because of our contributions in the Middle East, we were both honored with international awards. Uncle he was overjoyed and organized a grand welcome party for us. At the party, Uncle he looked at us and asked, "You two have been engaged for a long time, shouldn't there be a proper conclusion? Marry soon so I can hold my grandchild." Hishinya and I looked at each other, our hands clenching tightly under the table. During that time, the media flooded with news of my return and my marriage to Hishinya. Lu Ruyan surely saw it. And then, we met again at the hospital. After 5 years, Lu Ruyan had changed immensely. The woman who was once over 30 yet still elegant and composed was now like a living corpse. Her once manicured curls were tangled and dry like wild grass from long-term alcoholism. Her skin was sallow, and the dark circles under her eyes were stark. When she saw me, she tried to force a face-saving smile. "Long time no see." I glanced at the clothes she was wearing. It was the suit I had given her years ago. Lu Ruyan had always been picky, changing her wardrobe every season, yet now she was wearing an outfit from 5 years ago that was tight and worn. On her hand was the ring I used to propose, and on her wrist was the jade bracelet representing the daughter-in-law of the Fong family. Even the necklace was an engagement gift, still containing a photo of the two of us inside the locket. Seeing her struggling to wear a body full of memories while pretending we had just happened to meet here, I couldn't help but chuckle. I only gave a dry and walked past her. But Lu Ruyan wouldn't have it and called after me, "After all this time, don't you have anything to say to me?" I turned back, confused. "Say what?" Her gaze was fixed on me as she approached with a medical report. "My sudden appearance at the hospital is obviously because I'm sick. Don't you care about what's wrong with me? Is there something wrong with my body?" I found it even more amusing and took a few steps back to widen the distance. "I'm sorry, Ms. Lu, the department you're visiting isn't my specialty. You should ask your attending physician about those things." Seeing me clearly draw a line, Lu Ruyan became even more annoyed. But with her personality, she would never admit she still lingered on me or intended to get back together. Thus, we had a second, accidental encounter. That day, I went with Hishinya to choose a wedding dress. Unexpectedly, Lu Ruyan showed up too. At that moment, Shinya was trying on a pure white gown, twirling before the mirror and looking at me with radiant happiness. We shared a laugh, the scene filled with warmth. Lu Ruyan's face darkened instantly. She walked straight over to greet us, then coldly threw a wedding dress onto the counter. "I want to return this dress. I ordered it from your shop 5 years ago." When I finished the fitting, the groom disappeared, and the wedding couldn't be held. I knew she was intentionally targeting me, but I pretended not to hear, not even bothering to glance at her once. Hishinya noticed her presence and winked at me, whispering, "What do we do now?" I only shook my head with a smile, signaling her to ignore it. Naturally, seeing us ignore her made Lu Ruyan's expression even gloomier. Finally, she shoved her way in to seek validation. "Years ago when I was preparing to marry, my fiancé personally designed a wedding dress just for me. Although the wedding didn't happen in the end, one can see from the attitude how much a man truly loves someone." That was a reference to our college years. Back then, I naively thought we would marry after graduation, so I spent half a year of late nights during my thesis project designing a wedding dress for her. The result was her decision to delay the wedding and her adoption of a child from the orphanage. She had once loathed that dress and thrown it in the trash, even scoffing, "If I have to wear a wedding dress, it has to be French haute couture. How much is so-called sincere emotion actually worth? Don't be so self-indulgent." Hearing the provocative intent in her words, Hishinya's expression darkened slightly. I let out a cold snort. "And that's why your wedding never happened, isn't it?" I took Shinya's hand and continued calmly. "Someone once told me that a wedding is every girl's dream, that everyone wants to be the most beautiful bride in the world. Therefore, the most important thing is the bride's feelings and preferences. Regardless, I have no desire to use my attitude or worthless sincerity to move myself anymore." Lu Ruyan was instantly speechless, her face turning pale. I shifted to a cold tone. "But you said one thing correctly, a man's attitude really is very important." I pulled Hishinya behind me and looked Lu Ruyan straight in the eye, speaking slowly. "As you can see, I am getting married. I don't want my wife to have any doubts or lingering concerns. Ms. Liu, you are a person of the past. I stepped toward her, took the ring she was still wearing, and tossed it into the trash. This is the ring I used to propose to you. Now that the engagement is cancelled, I hope you won't wear it anymore. Lu Ruyan's eyes turned red instantly, her pupils contracting violently. She was in so much pain she couldn't breathe. She had thought that causing trouble would make me remember the past, but all she received was unprecedented finality and humiliation. I also removed the jade bracelet from her wrist, saying calmly, "This bracelet was a gift from my parents, representing the daughter-in-law of the Fong family. Since the engagement is off, don't you think you should return it, Ms. Liu?" I placed the bracelet on Hixinya's wrist, gave her a tender look, and then looked back coldly at Lu Ruyan. Besides, based solely on your attitude back then, covering for Xia Chong while he destroyed my parents' graves, you are no longer worthy of carrying anything belonging to the Fong family. That night, perhaps because she was so heavily struck, Lu Ruyan went out drinking again and was surrounded by a group of street thugs. She had been a famous CEO after all. Those men recognized her immediately and began to mock and jeer. "Oh, isn't this Lu Ruyan? The woman who offered herself to her foster nephew right in front of her fiancé." Lu Ruyan glared in disgust, using a wine bottle to shove one of them away. "Get lost." But more people crowded around, laughing and nudging her. "Hey boss lady, why pretend anymore? Didn't you crave excitement? You didn't even spare your foster nephew, and now you're looking down on us? Tonight we won't stage a kidnapping, we're playing for real. A game of desperate lady versus 7 strong guys. Does that get you in the mood?" Lu Ruyan had spent her entire life looking down on others, never having endured such humiliation. In a fit of rage, she swung a wine bottle, smashing it directly over the head of one of the thugs. Blood splattered across the floor. Half an hour later, I received a call. Her voice was thick with sobs. "Fong Yuan. Something happened. I'm so scared. It hurts. Can you come and see me for just a moment?" Initially, I had no intention of caring, but then the police called me. They informed me that the case I had previously reported had reached a new development and required my presence to provide more information. Consequently, I was forced to head to the police station. When I arrived, Lu Ruyan was sitting across from the thug she had struck. She was tensely clenching her hands, looking no better than her assailant. Her clothes were torn to rags, and her face was swollen and red with the distinct marks of several handprints. She looked utterly wretched. Previously, as the heiress of the Lu family, no one would have dared to touch her. A mere frown from her would have sent everyone around her into a frantic scramble to appease her. Seeing me, Lu Ruyan's eyes immediately lit up with joy, as if seeing a savior. "Fong Yuan. I knew you wouldn't leave me behind." She lunged forward, tremblingly clutching my arm, her voice pleading, "Please forgive me? Call off the engagement with that woman. I've truly realized everything now. Let's get married right away." I stood my ground, coldly removing her hand. "I'm sorry, Ms. Liu, you've misunderstood. I didn't come here to save or visit you, I'm here to collect documents for my case." I curled my lip, my voice laced with mockery. "You're an adult. If you cause trouble, handle it yourself. I'm getting married, there is no reason for me to deal with this mess for someone irrelevant." As soon as the words left my mouth, I turned to walk away. At that moment, Lu Ruyan completely broke down, screaming behind me, "Fong Yuan. What are you still pretending for? Do you think I don't know? You and Hixinya are just an act. The engagement going to the Middle East, all of it was just to provoke me. I've agreed to come back, how much longer are you going to waver?" She choked for a moment, then as if making a final stand, her voice grew sharper. "Do you dare claim that what happened at the hotel back then wasn't your doing? You used despicable means to force me to marry you. I loathe you, I'm repulsed by you, is that not the truth?" Hearing that, I stopped, turned to look at her, and raised an eyebrow. "Even at this stage, you still believe that incident years ago was my doing?" Thinking of the call the police had made to me earlier and the truth they revealed, I let out a laugh. "Then let me make the truth clear to you today. Actually, I've suspected the reality for a long time." I stepped closer to her. "Lu Ruyan, as the eldest miss of the Lu family, you had bodyguards everywhere. Who could have secretly drugged you to make that hotel incident happen? It could only have been someone close to you whom you trusted implicitly. Before I left the country, I took the initiative to report it to the police, and now they have finally uncovered the clues. When the name Xia Chong appeared in the investigation report, Lu Ruyan's eyes widened in disbelief, mumbling, "No. Impossible. It was clearly you." I cut her off icily. "The evidence is right in front of you, and you still think it was me? The person who actually drugged you in the hotel back then was Xia Chong. At that time, your parents' health was failing, and they were constantly dropping hints about a wedding. Xia Chong began to feel insecure, fearing that you and I would actually become a couple, so he orchestrated everything. He wanted to take the opportunity to force a physical encounter with you to break off our wedding. He never expected the irony of fate, that the man who ended up in bed with you was me. In my past life, Lu Ruyan believed I had used foul play to force the marriage, so she hated me her whole life, treating me with hostility and distance. Meanwhile, she clung onto the very person who had truly harmed her. Now, the entire truth was laid bare. Lu Ruyan completely collapsed. She even tore up the evidence in front of everyone, covering her ears and mumbling incessantly, "Impossible. Impossible. I don't believe it. Feng Yuan, you must have forged this. You don't want to take responsibility for me, you want to wipe the slate clean to marry that he-girl. You clearly pursued me to the point of desperation, used a lowly trap to ensnare me, and now you want to dump all the blame on someone else just to abandon me." Looking at that familiar scene, I suddenly remembered 5 years ago when Xia Chong planned the kidnapping. Back then, he also flatly denied everything, turning a deaf ear to the truth. I let out a cold laugh and said, "Do you truly not believe it, or do you not dare to believe it? Are you so afraid of the truth that you can only deceive yourself? Perhaps pinning that crime on me makes you feel a bit better, letting you believe I still linger on you. It's a pity. The truth is the truth, and a lie can never become reality. I heard your little lover Xia Chong is about to be released from prison. Why not go and ask him directly what happened back then?" In my past life, because I didn't want to hurt Lu Ruyan's pride, I endured a lifetime carrying that false accusation. But now, with the truth brought to light, I could finally cast off the burden that had weighed on my heart for so long. I drove back home, but unexpectedly, Lu Ruyan rushed into the middle of the road, risking her life to block my car. I slammed on the brakes, and before I could react, she pulled open the car door and slumped into the passenger seat. Her eyes were bloodshot. She took a deep breath and whispered, "Can we talk privately for a moment?" I remained emotionless, my tone flat. The past is the past. Everyone has their own life. I don't think we have anything left to say. I hope that from now on, you will learn to carry yourself with some dignity." Lu Ruyan said nothing more but directly pulled out a knife and held it to her own throat. "Just this once, please, for the sake of our past acquaintance." She bowed her head, her voice a weak plea. "You loved me so much before. Can't you even give me one conversation now?" In the end, I had to take her to the place where Xia Chong had hired people to kidnap us years ago, a dilapidated warehouse by the sea. As soon as we stepped inside, she began to undress. "Feng Yuan, I know you still blame me. These past years, I have also deeply regretted that foolish decision. Let me make it up to you today, all right? Don't you still hold a grudge because I gave myself to Xia Chong? Fine. Now I am giving myself to you voluntarily. As long as you are willing to forgive me, we can start over. You once craved me, now I am willing." Her eyes turned red, her hands trembling as she undid each button amidst utter shame. But looking at that scene, my heart felt only bitterness and sorrow. In my previous life, no matter how much I pleaded, she refused to be intimate with me, even to fulfill our marital duties. And now, she was voluntarily presenting herself to me, begging me to keep her. The dignity of the once arrogant woman had now shattered into a pathetic mess.